Once fighting on the side of justice in the face of adversity, Mimic has now become an example of how cowardice, selfishness, and deceit can lead one down the bitter path of corruption. While many of Sonic's foes have shown the twisted nature of their moral compass, or lack thereof, beneath the surface lurks something more unnerving and frankly sinister when it comes to Mimic. With no true allegiances to anyone but himself, Mimic acts upon selfish instincts, willing to go as far as murdering anyone in his path if it's deemed beneficial to him in the end. While even the most cold-hearted of villains like Dr. Eggman has been able to display moments of empathy, Mimic's lack of this characteristic unveils a disturbing sociopathic tendency at the core of his character. Considering his unique ability to change form at will, Mimic is also a master of manipulation, easily able to turn even the best of friends against one another. As a result of his manipulation and self-serving actions, Mimic has become one of the most vile villains Sonic and his friends have ever encountered. Mimic wasn't always the cruel and manipulative mercenary that he is now, although there was always an inkling that he was hiding something dark within. At the height of the Eggman Empire's power, a group of mercenaries known as the Diamond Cutters would come together to oppose the tyrannical reign of Dr. Eggman. Targeting his bases, the group had hoped to uproot Eggman's forces on the front lines. Mimic was once a part of this covert unit who worked closely together to fight the oppression that Eggman had inflicted upon the world. However, unlike the rest of his group who sought to fight for freedom, Mimic had selfish intentions, seeking to gain wealth and power by acquiring Eggman's tech from the bases that they infiltrated. Eggman tech is well sought after, and mercenaries from all across the world have tried time and time again to acquire it by any means necessary. To Mimic, his team was nothing more than a means to an end. As long as he could profit from Eggman's creations, he was fine being part of this unit. But in truth, he felt no connection with those who he worked alongside. The other members of the Diamond Cutters viewed each other more like a tight-knit family and cared deeply for everyone in their squad, even when it came to Mimic. It's partly because of this compassion that they shared for each other which drove the Diamond Cutters to fight tooth and nail for a better tomorrow. While Mimic too fought alongside them and proved himself to be beneficial to the team, his relationship with the group was superficial at best, although the others wouldn't discover this until it was much too late. As one would assume, Eggman doesn't take kindly to his bases being sieged, and due to the damage that the Diamond Cutters inflicted, Eggman had a score to settle, making them a priority target alongside the likes of the Resistance. With their backs against the wall, the Diamond Cutters would have to consider the value of their lives and if what they were fighting for was worth the risk. To the Diamond Cutters, it wasn't even a question. As Spock would say, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But Mimic's ideologies don't align with the rest of his team. He is no hero, and soon he would finally reveal his true colors. Thinking solely of himself and how he could survive the wrath of Eggman, Mimic's mind was enshrouded by fear. In a desperate attempt to save himself, Mimic went to Eggman alone, using the Diamond Cutters' lives as a bargaining chip for his own. This cowardly act would be one that defines Mimic and what he stands for. During the secret meeting between the two, Eggman would agree to grant Mimic immunity to all charges that he had against him, based on the one condition that he helped eliminate his entire unit. Returning to his base, Mimic would proceed to fill his squadmates' ears with deceit. He would pitch a plan to the Diamond Cutters, knowing that this will actually be their demise, as he intends to lead them right into Eggman's trap. The psychic of the group, Claire, would be hesitant about this plan, as she sensed that something wasn't quite right, but as to what, she had no idea. Because of this, she asked Whisper to hang back as a contingency plan in case something ended up going awry. Once Mimic had led the rest of the Diamond Cutters inside the Eggman base, he made sure to separate himself from the pack. Before the others even had a chance to realize what was going on, they were under attack from multiple shadow androids who were lying in wait. The last words heard from the Diamond Cutters were cries of desperation as they called upon Mimic and Whisper for backup. This vile act of betrayal displays Mimic's sociopathic tendencies. He demonstrated a superficial relationship with his squad in order to better himself. As he puts it, they were a means to an end. When that went wrong and it was no longer viable to be around the Diamond Cutters, he acted on impulse to save his own life, indifferent to the fact that he had doomed the others. He lied to and manipulated those those that were closest to him, leading them into a trap. This shows how trusting the Diamond Cutters were of Mimic. Even when Claire had sensed that something was wrong, they still had faith in their squad mate and followed him to the bitter end. Despite everything he had been through with them, Mimic ultimately had no qualms sacrificing his squad, showing his complete and utter lack of empathy. These horrendous attributes align Mimic with some of the most infamous serial killers the world has ever known, making him one of the most cold-hearted Sonic characters. Having led his team like lambs to the slaughter, Mimic reports back to Eggman, who is most pleased with the results. That is, until he realizes that one member is unaccounted for. Mimic informs Eggman that Whisper stayed outside on lookout duty, but she isn't a threat that should concern them. However, Eggman isn't satisfied by any result less than perfection. He then proceeds to threaten Mimic, letting him know that he'll suffer the same fate his squad had faced if he doesn't find and eliminate Whisper. This is the catalyst of Mimic's vendetta against Whisper. She alone stands between Mimic's freedom from Eggman's wrath and his demise. In that instant, all his hatred and anger was unjustly pinned upon her, and he planned on getting his revenge. In a distasteful display of desperation, Mimic takes the form of the now deceased Slinger the Ocelot in hopes to draw Whisper out of hiding. This tactic is very cold and cunning, much like a predator's trap. Unfortunately for Mimic, Whisper is very keen and opted to hide nearby as she waited for Mimic to reveal his true form. This isn't the only thing that the mercenary would reveal, as Whisper overhears Mimic divulge what a coward he truly is. Knowing that Eggman will surely end him on the spot if he came back empty-handed, Mimic decides to weasel his way out of the situation by lying, turning in her Wispin as proof of his kill. Just like Pain and Panic from Hercules, Mimic thought that if Eggman never learned the truth, he could get away by faking it. And for a while, it seemed that way. The war ended, Eggman disappeared for a time, and Mimic believed that he was living a life free of worries despite his numerous transgressions. However, upon Eggman's reemergence, he once again ordered Mimic to hunt down and eliminate Whisper for good. Eggman was even more furious this time around, as Whisper ended up causing him a lot of trouble during the war. Out of fear, Mimic complied with this order, knowing that Eggman would unleash Metal Sonic to do his bidding should he refuse or fail. This only proceeded to fuel Mimic's hatred for Whisper. As he now suffers the consequences of his own actions, he points all blame on his former ally instead of taking accountability. His lies have only served to dig him into a deeper hole, but blinded by his hatred for Whisper, he only sees her to be at fault. Now anyone who allies himself with her would be on the chopping block, as Mimic carved out a warpath. Targeting Whisper in the present, Mimic wouldn't outright face her head-to-head, instead opting to play mind games with her and use his shapeshifting abilities to get the drop on her. This is what makes him so dangerous. Mimic can easily transform into those who Whisper calls friends, and even use this power to turn them against her. But looking the part alone isn't quite enough to fool everyone. What makes Mimic a master of manipulation is his ability to sell his performance. Much like an NBA player will exaggerate movements in order to receive a foul call against an opposing player, Mimic is really good at faking the role of the character that he transforms into so that he can sway public perception to his favor. For instance, his exaggerated pleas of desperation sold Tangle on the premise that Whisper was being mind-controlled by Eggman and needed to be stopped. In reality, Mimic had taken on the form of Sonic in order to get close to Whisper and finish his job. Likewise, when infiltrating the new Diamond Cutters, Mimic has been able to ostracize both Silver and Whisper, making them look like the boy who cried wolf. His ongoing performance as a clumsy do-good rookie has planted seeds of doubt in even his biggest skeptics. Taking on the character of Duo, we see the power that Mimic has been able to obtain in a short amount of time, all by means of manipulation. He went from an outsider that a few members of the Restoration had doubts about to one of the most trusted as he works closely with Jewel. His charisma enchants others he's around, but it's all a facade. Like other sociopaths such as Ted Bundy, having a charming and welcoming personality that beckons one into a false sense of security is all part of the ploy. Mimic isn't above using cheap tactics to win his fights or buy himself time to escape. When he loses the upper hand in battle, he'll often resort to using psychological manipulation as a desperate attempt to throw his enemy off guard. After tracking down Tangle and Whisper, Mimic would separate the two, taking Tangle's form in the process. Trying to catch Whisper off guard, scared now that he has her friend's appearance, Mimic would attempt to outshoot the wolf, but would instead find himself disarmed. As a last-ditch effort, Mimic would transform into their fallen comrades, pinning the blame of their deaths on Whisper. As a sociopath, Mimic lacks any trace of empathy, but he is very well aware that this feeling of care for others and guilt can easily be exploited. It's a very slimy and cowardly way of trying to get under Whisper's skin so that he can create an opening to escape. But as always, Mimic only cares about one thing: himself. He would go on to fight both Tangle and Whisper once more, and again after being subdued, he would use a similar tactic, switching forms and lashing out as he tried to escape. After all the torment that he had caused Whisper up to this point, she was ready to take his life. But at the discretion of Tangle, she decided to spare him, opting to send him to Everhold Prison to rot away. One of the most compelling characteristics of Mimic is that he's an outsider. Eggman wants to execute him for his failure to eliminate Whisper, and the Restoration wants him locked away for his crimes. Despite being a villain, he finds himself at odds with most of the other villains who don't see eye to eye with him. After spending time locked away at Everhold Prison, Mimic would eventually be broken out by the likes of Dr. Starline, who wishes to use him as part of a plan to get back at Eggman. Soured by his past experiences working in the team, Mimic is highly opposed to this idea. However, he doesn't let the opportunity to slip out of prison pass him by, and so Mimic joins the squad of villains for a short time, while it's beneficial to him, of course. Like before, Mimic could care less about those who he's working with, but stays due to Starline promising to delete Mimic from Eggman's database, which could potentially secure his future. When the moment to make good on his word finally came, Starline would prove to be hesitant, and Mimic's disdain for Starline and the others would finally shine through. Holding a blade to Starline's neck, he would force the doctor to comply with his demands to be removed from the EggNet database. Starline would manage to escape shortly after following through with Mimic's demands, and while the other villains would pursue the doctor, Mimic had decided that he could slip away himself now that he has what he desired. But before leaving the facility, he would send a report through the EggNet alerting Eggman of the chaos ensuing in the base. This alert to Eggman had malicious intent behind it, as Mimic was hoping that Eggman would eliminate the other villains once and for all. This again proves that Mimic is someone who only has his best interest at mind, and once he has what he wants, he won't hesitate to get rid of you. Interestingly enough though, this disdain that Mimic has for both heroes and villains has led him into another group despite his dislike of working with others. Currently working for Clutch under the guise of Clean Sweep Inc., Mimic has infiltrated the Restoration and is working on taking them and the Diamond Cutters down from within. Although, when asked to join, initially Mimic once again seemed reluctant to do so. Clutch noted that this would give Mimic another shot at taking down his rival Whisper as well as Tangle, which was all he needed to hear to join. Mimic is one of the most frightening foes in the world of Sonic. His lack of empathy and remorse shows what a monster he truly is. He's driven by rage and personal grudges, willing to take anyone to the grave if they get in his way. His sociopathic tendencies cause him to use others, and when he sees no value left in them, he has no problem getting rid of them. I think this makes Mimic one of the most vile villains in the world of Sonic, but let me know what you guys think of Mimic in the comments below. If you want to see more breakdowns and lore, subscribe and check out the video here. As always, I wish you all the best, take care, peace.